So after spending last winter in the van, I had a dream, and that dream was to have a log burner. I've got central heating in the van. It's very good, it works very efficiently, but it does use a hell of a lot of gas. Gas is not cheap, and going through it's just a faff as well, the gas bottles that I'm having to change and blah 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 blah. So log burner, thought that would be a really good idea. Just a UFO flying around in the background somewhere. It's loud, isn't it? So log burner. Funds aren't flying for me at the minute, so I was dabbling with the idea of making my own log burner out of a gas bottle. I've got some videos on YouTube. I thought that's a bloody good idea. I can do that easy enough. Got a gas bottle. It's easy enough to do, but thankfully during the summer a log burner actually arrived, which is good. I did a little bit of work. All this is going to be covered in the video anyway. It's just a little intro. I did a little bit of work, which I'll show in the video, to earn the flue pipe as well, which was holding me back, and the price started creeping up actually during the summer, which is really frustrating. So the next problem was where would I put a log burner in the van? You know, it's pretty kitted out. There's an option where the fridge freezer was. Not a lot of space in there, so if I was to put it there, I would probably have to rebuild some of the van, dismantle it, rebuild it. Option was to go in the back room, but obviously it's my yoga space. I want a little bit of space, and potentially at some point it might be a bedroom, depending on what happens with the van. So, you know, I didn't really want a log burner in the middle of the room or in the middle of the wall in the back room either. So option was to put it by the cooker, where the cooker is. It's kind of got the, you know, the facilities around the cooker, the ventilation, the flue, not a proper flue, but like a ventilation at least, a pipe, holes in the wall already, which is always good. You don't need any more holes in it. It's like a bloody pepper pot as it is. So there's a few things to take consideration of, and then this log burner turned up. Thank you very much, Samantha, for bringing it to my attention and sorting it out for me. It's a little bit bigger than what I was expecting, so I had to run some tests, which is what's going to be covered in this video. Really, it's just a process of going through the tests, and you will find out where I decided to put the log burner, and yeah, just a little bit of dismantling and lining up, I think, in this video, because it's quite this. I think it's going to be a three-parter, this. So the first part is just about the testing, what I did, what I bought, and where I'm going to put it, and how I got that far. Okay, part two will be the installation of the flue, and part three, I can't remember what part three is now. I've not got that far yet, so but yeah, it's just a little introduction. So what you're going to see now is just the tests that I run through, and I'm going to talk over the top of the video because it is just screenshots, because it was a process over 3 or 4 hours throughout a day. It's too much to video, so it's screenshots, tests. I'll talk over the top, and yeah, see you on the other side. So here we have the log burner with some heatproof board already bolted directly to the back. I've got a bit of board down the outside there that's about 80mm away from the burner, and it's a free space this side. So between the backboard and the fake wall, we've got 100mm. This is just a test, just to see how hot it gets. This is absolute worst case scenario. As you can see, you've got bubble wrap there. If that starts to wilt, you know you're too hot. So we're starting off at temperatures around 8-9 degrees there at the back of the board. Started off with a yoga mat down the side, but it did start to melt. So you'll see the transition in a bit. It's about 14 degrees there. So it's half-hour increments. I did a test every half hour. Just come back to it, let it burn. Got it up, so it's 29-30 degrees. I found different hot spots on the burner itself. So that was low down on the side, that's higher up, and it's like a 60 degree difference just there. So we're already up to 60 degrees on the back of the board, 36 to the fake wall. We've got 283 there on the higher side, 80 degrees down below. This is where the yoga mat started to melt, I believe, and now I've swatched over to the heatproof board on the side. I also started going on the inside of the board there, 234, and you can see it's down to 70 degrees on the outside, so you can tell how much that heat is absorbed by that board. It's really good stuff. 335 now up the inside edge, 90 degrees on that side. What am I on the outside? Just 60 degrees, so you're dropping 30 degrees there from inside to out. It's good. 563 on the inside, so that's in the fire itself. 276 and nearly 300 at the upper back, but just 65 on the outside of the back of that board. Really good. 45 degrees. I mean, this is not going to burn down the wall, isn't it? And that's just 100 mil away. So we're 400 degrees there. 200 degrees on the inside. That's a lot closer. That's 80 mil difference there. And we're down to 70 degrees. So even that, with an airspace between that heat proof and the wall, we're not going to set fire to the van. So that's really good. Really encouraging. And I was really happy with those tests. It just showed me that there was space that I could play around with the use of the heat board. So really good. Next was the problem of how to afford the flue pipe. I'd been hoping to buy it during the summer. Again, I mean, I didn't even have a log burner, so there's no point in buying a flue pipe if I haven't got a log burner. And when I was planning on making my own out the gas bottle, I needed to know the size of the hole that was going to be in the top of the gas bottle before I could buy the flue. So there's lots of reasons why, but affordability was one of the reasons why. Unfortunately, the price was going up because every time I come out here to do a video, there's a bloody fighter jet flying around somewhere. Yeah, so I did a little bit of work, and the people I did the work for were super kind enough to pay me in flue pipe, a couple of meters just to go straight up. I mean there was all sorts of dial. Am I going out the wall? Do I need 45s? Do I need 90s? Do I go up and out and up? So you know what, who, what, why, when. I didn't know where I was putting it to start off with, let alone the route of the flue pipe, so how much flue I was going to need. But once I made a decision, it was quite straightforward enough. And what you're about to see next is how I earned the flue pipe. So without paying for the flue pipe, I worked for it, and in exchange for goods for service, which wasn't my idea, I'm going to add, but it worked out well, and much appreciated. Thank you very much. Huge respect. Thank you. So yeah, next bit of the video is just me being a div, really. Jumping into a wall. Enjoy. Just look at all that frame, all that wood, kindling that can be used to start fires. So much there. The insulation that I got out of that, I've put to one side. I've used actually some of it on the shutter at the back wall. I lost the video to that as well. It's a bit frustrating, but recycling some of it, scrapping the rest. Make use of everything. Of course, the cat is there to inspect my handiwork, but I think he's pretty happy. I did have quite a good video of me battling to get this fridge out of the space. There's the space. Then I had 2 doors to get it out of, which I didn't think it was going to do it. But with a little bit of pushing and throwing, it managed to go out. I'm just gutted I lost a video. I've lost 3 or 4 videos. Quite frustrating, but I made it. It got out, and that is the space that I decided to put the log burner. Now it's obviously too small, so I need to do a bit of renovation. So this is one of the parts that was really putting me off about putting the log burner in the van in the first place, and that was I didn't know how the van's put together. I have got experience with this. We used to build plant rooms in the fountain company that I used to work for, and it was very similar sort of shell, and we'd install it, but I wasn't sure how these cupboards were fitted to the external shell, so it was quite a delicate operation, and it was quite squeaky bum time throughout the process of, you know, I don't want to pull something too hard, I don't just want to wrench it out, so it was quite systematic, little bit by little bit, just trying to remove and find all the screws that I could get. Some things were nailed in, some things were screwed in, you know, I've had to sort of just use the saw there to get it out, and then the electrics as well. And this wall, oh my god, this wall was just, I'm just doing a little bit of meter reading there because I want to remove some of the cables, so obviously use a meter just to check what's live, what current it is, if there's any current, hopefully no current. Once there's no current you can remove it, but that wall, as I just said, I didn't want to wrench it, I didn't want to drag it, I didn't want to rip it out. I spent ages on this, and it turned out that there was one screw fastened right at the bottom. That it was just, I just couldn't see it. But I got there in the end, and that's what matters. And I didn't break anything that didn't want to be broken. So happy days. I've done the demolition or extraction, so those cupboard spaces. There was a big corner cupboard there, 2 cupboards here. Then you had a cupboard up there, pots and pans and stuff, and this is where the fridge freezer was. That's the bathroom wall there. I've just taken off this side of it. I'm not really recording this bit. I'm just going to give you a little update. It's because I make it up as I go. So that's the heat proof shield. So a bit on the bottom, bit on the wall. I've got a bit already on the back of the log burner, which I tested, which you would have seen. So I had a rough idea of how I wanted it to look. Now I've opened up the space. It's just kind of making that work. So I've just removed one of these slats. There was another slat down there. That's just a dead plug socket. I've just cut the wires off, stripped all the cables back after testing them. Always test them first. But I'm going to cut a section out here. Going to have a couple of slats going at an angle through that wall. So this is the bit of wood I've taken out. I'm going to reposition that in there like that, so I've got something to fix onto. Could be a few slats going through there, so the heat from here can go through the wall, warm up in the bathroom as well. I'm trying to minimize. I've got gas central heating in the van, but it just rattles through the gas bottles that I'm using. So I'm just trying to minimize using of the gas. So if I can get some heat from this room into that room and even it out throughout the van, that would be more beneficial to me. I've got a heatproof board going to go here in this corner. I'm going to false wall on this back wall, cover up the cables. Ventilation down the bottom because you need air supply. I've also got ventilation underneath here as well. So probably wood storage underneath there. I've got a little extension lip coming off over here, so the front of the fire is going to be here, but there's always spillage and ash and stuff when you're starting it up and whatnot, so I've got a nice overhang here just to catch some of that debris. A little bit of wood storage underneath maybe. It's normally where the cat food and drink goes, but I'll worry about that later. And then a false wall up the back here with allowing ventilation through that bit. It's blocked off at the minute just because I don't want that draft as it is. And then I will monitor it as I go. So I'm going to put the fire in, put the flue in. I've already marked up on the ceiling. That'll come out, tidy that up. Roughly where it's going to go. And I'm going to monitor it as I go. I'm getting a little bit paranoid now. I'm getting closer to the burn phase. If I need to, I'll put more heat proof on the back. If I need to, I'll put more heat proof on the top. But what I'll do is I'll get it in. I'll start a small fire. I'll sit here. Tough job. Sit here in front of a nice warm fire on a nice cozy cold winter's day. Read a book. But just keep an eye on it, check in with my digital thermometer where the heat's going, so I know exactly where it's going and what are the critical areas that need heat proofing further. I've got heat proof to go on the back of the chair here, so it's just whether or not I'm going to need it here and whether or not I'm going to need it on the ceiling. That's my main kind of concerns at the minute. But I know the twin wall flue is insulated, and it doesn't really get hot until it gets to the top. So the base of it's hot, top of it's hot. The bit in the middle is generally not so bad. I did the tests the other day. So yeah, let's see how we get on. So that's the plan. A few slats in there, heat proof there, heat proof up the side, false wall there with ventilation underneath. I'm going to put the fireplace in, get the flue in, start some fires, see how it goes, check the areas, and then come back and build the back of the chair. See if I need to implement heat proof on the back wall, see if I need to implement heat proof on the ceiling, and then rebuild the cupboards going back along there, redo the lighting. But I'll worry about that again once I get the main bulk of it in. But I think next job is breaking up more pallets, to be fair. I need to break up more pallets to get some framework in here and framework up the back. Then I can mount the heat proof and see where we go from there. It was recommended that I put the log burner on heat proof, and then underneath the heat proof was a concrete slab. Obviously I'm in a camper van, so I want to minimize weight. I mean, the log burner is already heavier than what I wanted, and obviously using pallets probably isn't ideal, but I'm not going to be driving this around. This is not going to be a Grand Tourer camper van. This is a homestead living van, potentially even to rent out for Airbnbs at some point, but that's a different story. So what I've done instead, rather than using the concrete slab, it's recommended that you have a 12mm gap between the heat proofing and the wall. So if I was to have heat proof in here, I'd have a 12mm gap between the heat proof and the wall, okay? Because the back of the heat proof still gets hot. It may not be anywhere near as hot as the front, but it still gets warm around the back. So that little air gap just creates, hey, Mr. Hand, just creates a little bit of coolness. It helps cool down. So you create that little barrier. So what I've done, rather than a concrete block, got a bit of 15mm ply here. I've created an air break of 12mm here between the ply and the shelf here. This is ventilation underneath here. That's actually the central heating unit, which is built into the van, but it just uses ridiculous amount of gas. So this is why I'm getting a log burner in, and it's just much more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So got the shelf, 12mm gap, 15mm ply. I'm then using offcuts of the heat-proof material, so that's going to actually give me a 30mm gap between the ply and then the heat proof, which the heat proof is then going to stand on, and then the log burner is going to go on top of that. So you've got log burner, legs, heat proof board, then going down onto heat proof blocks, just spaced. So we've got a 30mm gap, 15mm ply, 12mm gap, which is just a little bit of aeration. There's ventilation at the back there, which will be opened up. This bit here, just going to lift that up a little bit, and we're going to get ventilation. We'll have a little bit of air, cool air coming from the outside right the way through, potentially cool air lipping up underneath here as well. So we've got nice ventilation underside of that and from the back of that to keep this area nice and cool, as well as the heat proof stuff there. So that's what I'm doing there. Just putting some boards up here for the wall. I'm only going to go roughly this high. Can stuff some insulation down there. So this is insulation that come out of this area, actually, where the refrigerator was, the fridge freezer was. There was insulation there, which I've taken out. I'm just putting that round the stench pipes, which come from the holding tanks up to the roof. So just insulating this. I'm going to insulate this section here between this wall and the bathroom wall. Probably going to replace that with something at some point. I'm thinking corrugated metal for the inside of the bathroom, just for a different finish. So a bit of insulation down here, and then I'm going to have some slats going diagonally here to re-divert the heat from the log burner into the bathroom to warm up the bathroom as well. But my plan is to get the log burner, get this floor area set up, get the log burner in, get the flue pipe in, hopefully tomorrow, and then actually just start a small fire in the log burner and just start checking the hot spots. Again, it was recommended that I heat proof the whole of the back of the wall and the whole of the ceiling going across the top, as well as all the way up this side wall as well. But the test that I did, which you've seen in the video already, that black, the heat proof on the back of the log burner really just absorbed all of the heat. And there wasn't a lot going up. It didn't even melt the bubble wrap, which was on the board, and the board was only 80 mil behind the log burner, and this is about 300-400 mil behind the log burner, that wall. And there's going to be a false wall up there with an air gap behind that as well. So I'm just going to set it up, burn some stuff, and then just check hot spots like you saw in my original testing video with the log burner outside. Just going to test hot spots to see where critical areas are for heat proof, and see what I can get away with, see what I can't get away with sensibly, and then take it from there. Well, outside the log burner looked really small. Now I've got it in the space. It's going to take some getting used to, and definitely going to need quite a bit of heat proof. I think I will paint that board up. The board will be painted. It's going to be nice sitting here in front of the nice hot fire, but it looks a lot bigger inside than what I was expecting. Might have some input in this video. They normally cock-a-doodle-doos whenever I start talking. What was I going to say? Oh, that's right, yeah. Yeah, so at the end of that, you just saw the log burner in position. In the video, it didn't actually look too bad, but in reality, I was like, holy shit, that is huge. That's going to kick out, it's going to kick out some heat, so definitely lots of heat proof. And B, it just looked big. It just looked big in the space. So, but yeah, that's it for today. That's it for this video. Next video will be installation of flue pipe, and well, see if I get used to it. Thanks for your time, much appreciated. Look forward to seeing you again soon. I am very grateful for you taking time to watch, and I hope you enjoy. Hope some of it's useful, you know, more than anything. So yeah, peace out. Thank you.